All right, let's dive into one of the wildest, most intense books in the entire Hebrew Bible, the Book of Judges. Seriously, this thing is a raw, unfiltered look at what happens when a nation is just teetering on the brink of total self-destruction.
So let's start with a question that really gets to the core of this book. I mean, what really happens when a nation has no leader? You know, no king, no president, no one to hold things together. Well, the Book of Judges is basically a 300-year-long real-world experiment that answers that exact question. And believe me, the answer it gives is, well, it's pretty stark. For 300 years, and just to put that in perspective, that's way longer than the United States has even been a country, Israel just descended into this brutal, vicious cycle of chaos, oppression from its neighbors, and even civil war. This wasn't just a bad decade, folks. This was a long, dark era of complete decline.
Okay, so to really get what's going on here, we have to understand the historical backdrop. This is the era without a king.
So picture this. The story kicks off right after the death of Joshua. You know, the guy who led Israel into the Promised Land. But with him gone, boom, there's a huge power vacuum. And the book covers this really volatile, chaotic period of these temporary tribal leaders, these judges. And it all wraps up right around the time the prophet Samuel is born. And he's the guy who's going to anoint Israel's very first king. So Judges is really this turbulent, messy bridge connecting two completely different chapters of Israel's history.
Now, this book isn't just a random collection of crazy stories. No way. The author lays it all out as this predictable, repeating, and honestly super troubling pattern. Let's call it what it is, a downward spiral.
Okay, so this four-step cycle is basically the engine that drives the whole book. It goes like this. First, the people sin. They usually start worshiping the gods of the Canaanites around them. Then, as a result, God allows a foreign power to come in and oppress them. Step 3, after suffering for a while, the people finally cry out for help. And finally, step 4, God responds. He raises up a deliverer, a judge, to save the day. And for a while there's peace, but only for a little bit. Then the whole cycle starts right back up again, and each time it seems to get even worse.
So the big question is why? Why did this keep happening over and over again? Well, the author of Judges basically points to three big, interconnected reasons for this total national meltdown.
Let's break down these three reasons that explain all the chaos we're seeing.
Okay, reason number one is all about Israel's internal weakness. Scholars have a term for it, Canaanization. Basically, instead of staying distinct like they were supposed to, the Israelites started to, well, blend in. They got into farming, and pretty soon they were worshiping the local gods of rain and fertility like Baal, right alongside their own god. They just blurred all the lines, and this kind of religious compromise led straight to moral and social rot.
The second reason? Straight up social chaos. And check out this quote because it's so important. This exact phrase, "In those days Israel had no king, everyone did as they saw fit," it shows up 4 times near the end of the book. It's like the author's repeating diagnosis, their final word on why there was so much moral anarchy and violence. It's simple. Without a leader, society just falls apart.
But then there's the third reason. And honestly, this might be the most important one of all. God's absolutely relentless grace. I mean, despite Israel being constantly unfaithful, God never completely gives up on them. He keeps answering their cries for help, not because they earned it, they definitely didn't, but because of promises he made centuries before to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Time after time, he steps in to save them from themselves.
Okay, but this wasn't all just an internal crisis. To get the full picture, we've got to zoom out and look at what was happening in the world around them, because the geopolitics of the time played a huge role.
And this slide just lays it out perfectly. Around 1200 BC, the big guys, the superpowers of the region, were all in decline. The Hittite Empire collapsed. Egypt and Assyria, super weak and pulling back. This created a massive power vacuum. Think about it. With no big sharks in the water, all the smaller, local groups, the Philistines, the Ammonites, the Moabites, were suddenly free to cause trouble. And they did, constantly harassing Israel and leading to those endless conflicts we read about.
So, when you put all these pieces together, you start to see that the Book of Judges isn't just some dusty old history book. No, this is history with a very, very clear purpose.
The author is basically writing what we'd call theological history. All that means is that the stories are chosen and arranged on purpose. It's not just about reporting facts, it's about sending a powerful message about God, about human nature, and about what happens when a nation makes certain choices.
So what's the big takeaway here? What was the author trying to do? Well, it seems like there were a few key goals. First, just to show how shockingly far Israel had fallen, morally and spiritually. Second, to spell out the disastrous consequences of abandoning their covenant with God. Third, and this is a big one, to make a really strong case for why they needed a good, righteous king to bring some order. And finally, to show both sides of God's character, his righteous judgment on sin, but also his incredible, unfailing mercy.
You know, in the end, the whole book can pretty much be summed up by this line from Psalm 106. It just captures that central tension so perfectly. You have a people who are just bent on rebellion, and a God who, out of his great love and his faithfulness to his promises, just keeps stepping in. And the book kind of leaves us hanging with this one big question. Can a human king, any leader really, truly fix a problem that's rooted deep inside the human heart? And that's a question that echoes way, way beyond the book of Judges.